Hello, and welcome to our faculty information session for the International Teaching and Global Leadership Cohort here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. My name is Serena Stewart. It is a pleasure to be hosting this webinar with you today. I am Assistant Director in Admissions, and many of you may know my name from email communications. So now we get to unofficially meet each other here online. But I just want to first welcome you and let you know that I'm here as your admissions guide. So when you have questions about the application process, I am the person who will help you with those questions. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed faculty in the ITGL program to kick off our webinar.
Morning. My name is Jennifer Adams, and I'm the Director of International Teaching and Global Leadership Program. And we're so happy to have you here with us today. We know many of you are making decisions about your graduate program options or exploring programs for next year. And we're just really happy to give you the opportunity to get to know a small group of the ITGL faculty. So I'm here today with two of my colleagues. I'm going to start just by telling you a little bit about myself and then turn it over to my two colleagues to let them introduce themselves. We are going to give you a little bit of background information about the program this morning, and then we're excited to open it up for questions and answers. So, as I said, I'm Jennifer Adams. I am an associate professor in the program and also direct the program. I have a background in global and international education for about over 20 years now, and have lived in Beijing and in Hong Kong and in Taiwan over the course of my career. I'm also the focus area advisor for the early childhood education focus area, and I teach courses related to global and international education, a more introductory course about global trends, and then another course focused on global education policy and analysis. Veronica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Veronique Gugliucciello. I am a senior lecturer in the School of Education. Specifically, I teach in the International Teaching and Global Leadership Cohort. I am a former Baltimore City school teacher and a former urban school counselor. I was trained at the School of Education. I am very excited because I lead the creative and innovative focus area. I'm the advisor for those students, and I have created and I teach the global leadership course, and I coordinate and teach our seminar on teacher leadership. So excited to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Mark Trexler. I'm an assistant professor in our International Teaching and Global Leadership program. It's really good to see everyone. I am work as the extended learning coordinator for the program, which we'll be explaining a little bit later in this presentation. I teach two courses in the ITGL program, Advanced Instructional Strategies and the Action Research course. My background is as a special educator and instructional designer, and I'm very interested in designing instruction for diverse learners for all ages, K through university level students. So welcome.
Started, I did just want to provide a little bit of a background about ITGL. So the ITGL program is really, our focus is preparing future global innovative leaders with the idea that educational expertise and educational leadership really belongs everywhere, that education is for everyone, but also educational experts belong in all aspects of educational and social work. So in the business sector, in educational technology, in schools, in government and policy communities, in nonprofits, we're really preparing educational leaders to work in many different spaces. The program is intensive. It's an 11-month program, so it's an intense program. And during the period, our students are able to develop knowledge of some of the most important aspects of education through our core set of courses. They are also able to develop an overall sort of global perspective to contextualize the work they're doing and think about what's happening in different parts of the world. In addition, students develop targeted expert knowledge in an area that they select during the time of their application. These are our focus areas. And then all students participate in a final capstone portfolio, and then also in a very unique applied extended learning experience that gets them out into real educational context to apply what they've been learning during them. And this is just another sort of view of thinking about that. So when we think about what is in the ITGL curriculum, we have the set of sort of core courses that are providing that foundational knowledge. What do all educators need to know? Do they need to know about like mind-brain learning? Should they have an understanding of educational leadership? What do we want all ITGL students to know is what you would find in that core. And then you'll learn in your particular focus areas, which we'll talk about in just a minute, but you'll have courses each semester in your focus area. And then also the seminar in teacher leadership, which is a broader course, which was also linked to the capstone portfolio, and then also extended learning experiences. The 5 focus areas that we have, I think, also are a pretty unique aspect of the ITGL program here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. The focus areas are really very aligned with growing employment demand in the educational sector in many parts of the world. And so we have focus areas in entrepreneur education, digital age teaching and learning, creativity and innovation in education, teaching English as a foreign language, and then also early childhood education. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about extended learning?
Yes, so thank you. So our candidates and students gain a really comprehensive look at educational models through our extended learning experience. And we feel this is very unique. I know in my faculty career, I've not seen a unique program like this, and we're happy to offer it to you should you choose to come on board with us. The expectation is this is to take all your program focus area and your course content area and apply it to critical thinking, to really and truly identify the best practices in education within your particular area of study. So it really helps you, we feel, assist you in making really good decisions as a long-term educational career goals in your careers. And it does offer a great opportunity for you to synthesize this knowledge and directly apply it. So we have many different experiences. We have local schools within walking distance to the Johns Hopkins University that host our students and mentor our students on extended learning. We also have our research centers at Johns Hopkins that also host our students for extended learning and are involved in a lot of current thinking as well as future thinking research as how we can move our field forward in education. We also have some fantastic nonprofits. Refugee Youth Project is currently a very kind of popular placement with a lot of our current cohort of students. And then we have online experiences, many who are involved in entrepreneurship in education.
You to pop back, Serena, if you can. So I just wanted to chime in here and about extended learning, and also ask Veronica if she might want to share a little bit. I know that we have students who love extended learning, so I thought, and I know that there are often a lot of questions about this program. So Veronica, do you have anything you might want to add here about extended learning?
Sure, yeah. I think what makes us unique is extended learning. I currently have students who are out in classrooms and they are loving it. They are assisting teachers and working with small groups of students. I have a bunch of students who are really research focused. So they are with our centers and they're actually working alongside researchers across Johns Hopkins University. They are actually getting opportunities to work on papers, to publish, to write blogs. And as Dr. Trexler said, our Refugee Youth Project seems to be really popular. I have a bunch of my personal advisees who are there, and they just enjoy connecting with the students. And then I do have a couple of students who, even though they're creative, they are working with entrepreneurial startups, which they absolutely love to actually work alongside an entrepreneur and see how they have started up their business and They're helping with marketing plans and doing digital media. So it's really an exciting opportunity to be able to go out into the community and be able to extend what you're learning in the classroom as part of your extended learning experience.
Feel the same way. And as a faculty member, I actually am working with 5 of the ITGL students on a research project of mine. It's one of my favorite times in the week working with ITGL students on this project. And we actually just submitted a paper to a conference, and we're hoping that we'll be road tripping up to Cornell in the summer to present the findings from our project together. So that's a research-oriented one. I also just want to sort of chime in here that as well, I think many students come to ITGL perhaps from an undergraduate background that was not in education. Like the program really, there are many people that are transitioning. They've discovered their passion for education and they've decided to pursue their master's program here. And I think because of that, having an opportunity to be in real educational contexts right from the beginning of the program gives people access to thinking about education and like filtering some of their reading and work that they're doing in their classes through a genuine educational context. And I think that really helps people who don't have prior experience in education. And I also think it's really beneficial on the flip side as well, in that many of our students gather practical working experience that can help them think about what they want to do in the field of education when they graduate from our program, and sometimes even transition to OPT experiences. So really, I think really interesting part of the program that we'll take more questions about during the Q&A if you have them. I guess this next part, and actually, Veronica, I'm realizing that I didn't let you talk very much about the focus areas. So when we get to you, you might want to share a little bit about your advising in the focus areas. But we just wanted to also provide a little bit of information about what the 3 of us actually do for research, because we get a lot of questions in those areas too. So each one of us is just going to give you a little bit of an overview about some of the research that we're working on, and then we'll open up for questions.
So my focus research areas are on instructional design and differentiated learning, and that aligns to the course I currently teach in ITGL, which is entitled Advanced Instructional Strategies. So I think it's very important for us to understand as educators how we develop instruction and look at creative mind-brain cognitive strategies for effective instructional development, whether that occurs in K through 12, undergrad, or even higher education. And now we know we have much research on the use of technology as it relates to the development and instruction, and that's kind of where I am currently doing research in that area. I'm also very interested in the employment of students with disabilities. The statistics here in America are not very good with regard to students with disabilities gaining employment into organizations across America and really internationally. So I'm very interested in how we can do programming as educators to make these, afford the opportunities for these students to become employable. So there's many different aspects to look at this. And one of the areas I'm looking at is how do you build up career skills while they are with us in a secondary setting like high schools and undergraduate and graduate education. So certainly looking at that. I'm also, my final area of research I'm very interested in is how general education matches with special education in our inclusive classrooms. And again, kind of tracing back to the design of instruction, how are we designing instruction in those classrooms for effective research evidence-based strategies? So those are kind of 4 of my areas that I continue to research, and happy to answer any questions in those areas.
Great. So My research interests are in global education leadership. Obviously, I have created that course for this cohort. I've been very interested in that prior to even working with ITGL. It's just an area that I enjoy, especially learning about leadership. I actually was on at 5 o'clock this morning with a student up in Canada, and we were discussing the new Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson, which is a great read. So I do a lot of work in the field of leadership. I think it's really important to stay current on the trends in leadership, especially if I'm going to be teaching all of you leadership. I am the advisor for the creativity and education focus area. So more recently, a lot of my scholarship and research has been on creativity, specifically in higher education. I got a wonderful opportunity to work with our very own Jonathan Plucker, who is a national expert in creativity. And we actually looked at creativity in American and East Asian contexts, which was really exciting. Prior to coming to the university, what brought me here, my research interest was around motivation, specifically motivation in classrooms. And Dr. Trexler and I both share a profound love of technology and education, and we have actually presented around a digital tool that we created that has launched across the state of Maryland for students with disabilities. And I, on the side, have a pet project. It's kind of my pro bono work that I do. I work with our School of Medicine, and I've been doing that for the last 12 years. We actually have been studying the effectiveness of a flipped classroom versus online-only instruction to increase the clinical reasoning for medical students. It's really great. I actually got to create simulations where the medical students actually go into various different exam rooms and they click on things around the simulation. And what we're trying to do is we're realizing with our neurology medical students that we need to increase their what we call their bedside manner, how they actually interact with not only the patients in the room, but the families in the room as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that work.
Going after my colleagues that are doing such really neat work out there. So as you'll see, our faculty are doing really interesting things, both Mark and Veronica, but also our other faculty that are here at the School of Ed that the ITGL students are able to interact with. So my own work actually focuses broadly in the field of global and international education and has really evolved over a period of time. I would say broadly, I'm interested in education and social policy, primarily in Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, but in some other areas as well. Most of my work also links those policy decisions and the effect of economic and demographic and social changes on the implications for educational equality, for a long time, particularly in rural areas. Some of my more recent work has focused on the emergence of global citizenship education in some of these contexts and how creating a global-oriented identity actually relates to climate change and climate action. So I'm interested in global identity and sort of normative behaviors that people participate in when they feel like they're citizens of the world and are part of something larger, and how that actually translates into children's feelings about their own climate identity, and then ultimately whether they feel depressed about the climate or they feel empowered and have a sense of self-efficacy that they can actually do something to make the planet better. So I have a couple of research projects that I'm working on right now in that space. And so one of them actually is a comparative study of climate change education and also children's climate identity. We're doing some of the early stages of this work here in the US, sort of testing out some of our questions and some of our survey instruments. And that's what I'm actually working on with my team of our ITGL research assistants. But ultimately, this project is going to actually take place both in China, Bangladesh, and likely a third country as well. I'm also still, I've spent about 20 years doing work on educational policy in China. and I'm still working in that space, largely related to children's welfare policy and the role of education and educational changes in that space, but also more recently in higher education. And so looking at higher educational reforms and the effect of those reforms on both equality in higher ed, who's going to what type of higher education, but also to innovation in the field of higher education, primarily in China. So here, and this is just a slide, I think, to sort of end our sort of overview of ITGL before we open it up to questions, just to help students think about what some of the advantages are of the ITGL program here. And so we've talked a little bit about the innovative focus areas that are aligned with market demand. We are happy to take questions about those as we open up to Q&A. And also, I think you heard a little bit about the applied experiential focus of the program that I would say extends from extended learning, but also into our classrooms and the types of things that faculty members do with students in classrooms. So that's a very applied program. You've met some of our dedicated, experienced, world-renowned faculty, and we're happy to talk about the alumni network and sort of the residential model that we have here, as well as what ITGL students do after they graduate, if people have questions about those topics. So I think for now, we'll stop talking and we will open up this session to any questions that you might have. And you can go ahead, Serena, correct me if I'm wrong, they can just go ahead and type questions into the Q&A box. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so here I've got a question right here. So one of the questions that I have that's come in is, can master's students participate in these faculty research projects? So who might want to take on? I talked a little bit about students participating with me in extended learning, but I think, Mark, you probably can talk a little bit more broadly about the types of research projects. And then Veronica, I know you mentioned your advisees doing this work. So do we all sort of want to take a go at this? But about whether master's level students can participate in faculty research projects?
Yeah, I mean, we would definitely not preclude anyone from working with faculty at a graduate level master's degree program. We currently have several sites that are working with both current doctoral students and then ultimately the faculty in those research centers who are doing research. So yes, we would never, we would definitely have we definitely do have those opportunities, and we would also encourage those and facilitate those.
I can share too that our Center for Research and Reform in Education, we call them CRRE. We have a lot of acronyms around Hopkins, so I want to get you used to some of them, but they are amazing because they have allowed our master's level students to actually publish on the late Bob Slavin's blog. The students who get to do that are super excited because they don't have to wait for an entire study to be finished. They actually are reviewing research that's out there and writing about that research. So it's a really great opportunity. They get published, which they love. If you want to be more engaged in a longer term research project, we have those as well with various faculty and with our centers. And you also have the opportunity to connect with faculty across Johns Hopkins University. We have a really great platform that allows you to actually see what faculty across the entire university are doing and get involved maybe outside of the School of Education if you have another kind of interest. I actually have one student who is currently involved in 3 different research projects as a graduate student, and she is loving all 3. She's working at the School of Nursing, she's working at the School of Education, and I do believe she's actually working with an individual faculty at one of our research centers. So yes, absolutely, our master's level students can be involved in research.
So one, like Veronica, I also have students that are working on research in varied ways. So for example, they might be working in a Baltimore school for their extended learning, but then they've joined a faculty member's like research lab. So for example, one of our colleagues who also does work related to climate change education, Hunter Gelbeck, he has a lab where he's got PhD students, master's students, basically anyone who's interested in that topic that's working on his lab doing research. And I know students are going to present at the AERA conference in Philadelphia later this week related to that. So that's something so I guess my point is that you don't only have access to research through extended learning, that there are other ways to get involved in research on the Hopkins campus. And then I also think that, Veronica, you just actually nicely mentioned, one of the other questions that came into chat was like, how and when can students apply and get involved in research opportunities? And so you were mentioning the matching that takes place over campus, and it also can happen anytime. We also have some students who maybe in the fall were sort of getting used to their course load and focused more on studying, but then they came back from the winter break in January and they were ready to take on something new, and they looked for some research opportunities at the time.
And I just want to, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I just want to add too for that, the how and when to apply. You know, Dr. Trexler, who coordinates the extended learning, there are research opportunities as part of your extended learning. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can sign up for a research opportunity. But maybe if you want to get experience, you know, different experiences part of your extended learning, you can connect outside of extended learning with faculty and get on their research opportunities. And like Dr. Adams just shared, you know, we see a lot of students, you know, they want to come in that first semester and kind of get a little bit settled, figure out kind of, you know, when they have kind of extra time. So we see students, you know, more towards the end of first semester or right in the January kind of break term, looking for some of those, I call them extra opportunities for research.
Great. And actually, Veronica and Mark, I'm going to tag you both with this next question. So we have a question about digital age teaching and learning focus area. So it says, hi, professors. Thank you for your explanations. I would like to know more about the digital age teaching and learning focus area. And is there a need of background in computer science before participating? And so our focus area lead for digital age teaching and learning, Rich Weisenhoff, is not with us this morning. And so I'm going to turn it off to our technology-focused faculty members here, both Mark and Veronica.
Yeah, so we get this question a lot, okay? And I can actually say no. You do not need to come in, and I think you asked if you need to come in with computer science. Sorry, the questions are coming in really fast. So you do not need to come in with a background in coding or computer science or any of that. When we think about this focus area, you know, we really are turning you into leaders in the field of educational technology, and you're going to be able to learn how to integrate technology into the classroom. And really, we focus in this focus area on our expertise in creating and leading, you know, our own online tools. At Hopkins, we have many centers who have actually created tools, and we are going to teach you how to implement those tools. In the focus area and in all your focus areas, you're going to take 3 courses that are your kind of focus area core courses. And for that focus area, you'll start by learning technology and the science of learning. So that'll give you kind of the background around technology and how it's linked with learning. You'll move into your second semester and you'll actually focus on emerging issues in digital age learning. So what are the things that are coming up around that? And then everyone loves the final semester, the summer semester. It's like their favorite course because you take a gaming and simulations for learning course. And I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Trexler because he actually works closely with the faculty member who teaches that course. And like I said, it's everyone's favorite course, and Dr. Trexler can actually tell you why.
So yes, so we access a faculty member from the Bloomberg Public School of Health that teaches our gaming and simulation course. and it takes the unique form of virtual reality in education. And actually, this faculty was with us for the entire day yesterday, being a guest speaker and working directly with our students in our Advanced Instructional Strategies course. So this is, I think, something that Dr. Adams mentioned. We are not a traditional lecture-only style classroom. We have our students highly involved in their, and we believe in our course delivery of being highly interactive. For example, yesterday, our students were working with this faculty member from Bloomberg Public School of Health, trying on virtual reality headsets. And the idea is to better understand how, as educational leaders, we can take this new technology and bring it into our schools and organizations. What can we do with it from the standpoint of education and instructional development? So I would say it represents a very, actually an ITGL common thing that we do out in our classrooms is bringing in experts from the field, interacting with you all, and then ultimately working on projects. This faculty member also from Bloomberg Public School of Health hosts students for extended learning.
You. Those are great answers and very exciting. And I can attest to how excited everyone is when the faculty member who's doing the VR is in the classroom. It's a really exciting way to think about how to incorporate it into your own work too. Okay, we've got a bunch of different questions coming in here. So some of them shorter, some of them longer questions. One of the questions is, does this program provide scholarships? And I would say for the first time, actually, this year, we do have a limited number of scholarships. They're not full tuition scholarships, but there are scholarships that are ranging between $15,000 and $20,000 primarily based on merit, on academic achievement and like leadership potential and diverse educational experiences that we're awarding to ITGL students. And we anticipate that we'll also have some scholarships available next year as well. So there's one of those questions. And then we have another question here that's a more general question asking about what characteristics, abilities, and experiences does Johns Hopkins University value most in the application? Anyone want to take a stab at that one? All of us are reading applications still right now, so it's a perfect time for us to be answering this type of question because we're thinking about this every day, probably several times.
So I can say one of the things that's important to me when I'm looking at applications is specifically your essay. I'm looking that you're actually following the essay prompts just because those prompts are important because it gives us a sense of kind of who you are. It gives us the opportunity, it gives you the opportunity to tell us who you are. And maybe you have an undergraduate degree in biomedical engineering. You know, I want to know more about that and why you are choosing to come into the field of education and how you're going to merge that undergraduate degree and bring value into our program. So that's something that's really important. I think too, when I'm looking at resumes, it's making sure that if you do have research experience, that you include that kind of on your resume along with any experience, not only just in education, but in what your undergraduate major is. I think those are the things for me that are important.
Okay, and Mark, go ahead. Mark, go ahead if you're good.
Yeah, I would agree. I look at both certainly your video interview to come into the program as well as your essay as well. And, you know, you heard us talk about, you know, with research for your ability to go out and make connections with faculty, to kind of announce to faculty what you are interested in studying. So when I review the essay, I want to see your ability to initiate as educational leaders. Are you going to be the kind of student in our program that will take the initiative and reach out to faculty and not just solely have faculty do that themselves for you? So we're looking for leaders. We're looking for people that can initiate ideas. We're constantly looking for new and innovative ways to innovate in education with your thoughts and ideas.
Say like to be yourself. So that's one of the things that I look for in the applications in both the video interview that we watch. So all of the applicants for the program do sit for about a 10 to 15 minute like video interview that's recorded that faculty are able to watch. And then also in the essay. And so I think in modern times, and I think also sometimes when you're a non-native English speaker, there's some temptation both to prepare all of your answers ahead of time for the interview sort of, and like read us the answers to your questions, or to use assistance in your essays. And I'm going to encourage you to to sort of throw those things out the window and be yourself, because I'm really looking to see, can you have a conversation with the interviewer? Can you speak spontaneously about the things that you care about? Are you showing a genuine interest in education? I really want to hear like your authentic voice. And so really being yourself is one of the most important things that you can do in the application process from my perspective. So that's a great question. So, okay, here, just looking here. Here's another extended learning question. I really want to do some internships besides the extended learning. How can I do this with the F1 visa or without the F1 visa? Can I choose 2 extended learnings? Mark, do we have any thoughts about that?
Well, we want to, many of our students do seek additional opportunities beyond extended learning. Our advice and counsel often to that is, again, as Dr. Adams described, this is a very intensive program, both on the coursework side and then keeping the balance on the extended learning internship side. So you were with us for a full academic year, so the intensity is rather grand, but very rigorous and really engaging for you. So certainly, we would certainly support if you were able to create an additional opportunity for yourself. Several times a semester, some of our students do access additional programming outside of extended learning, and that takes the form of research projects, and sometimes that also takes the form of volunteering into some of our schools. So it's really up to you. I really concur what Dr. Adams says. Be yourself, and if you feel you can tackle that level of work, we certainly would never discourage it.
Questions coming in. So one of the questions is, what does a faculty advisor do? What are they for?
I can go ahead and answer that. So I am a faculty advisor. I have been one since the program has begun. And as your faculty advisors, we wear a lot of hats. We play a lot of roles. We will, once you are admitted into the program, we will start helping to onboard you to Johns Hopkins University, making sure that you have everything you need to successfully start on day one. So that's making sure that you have your picture ready for your J card, making sure that you have added your local address into SIS. As advisors, we also work with you on selecting your classes. We are working with you on your capstone portfolio. That's something we spend a lot of time working with you on. And we're here to help and support you if anything comes up in your classes. We're a great sounding board for any issues maybe that you're having with, group work. We're here to, assist you with the various different projects and various different classes that you're taking. So we do a lot of different things as advisors.
For the early childhood education focus area, and I completely endorse all the things that Veronica just mentioned, I would just say that like it really depends on the student's needs. Like we're here for all of our students. One of the things that I tell my students is that I mean, this is my theme, like be yourself, but they really need to be themselves with me. Like I'm on their team, right? So if they're having a problem in another class, or they're having a problem with a faculty member, or they're missing home, like I don't want them to pretend anything with me, because I can help them the best if I know what their real situation is. And they shouldn't be worried about impressing me, because I'm here to be their advisor and be on their team and help them. And so that can mean, for all the reasons that Veronica just mentioned, it might mean helping them talk about career opportunities when they finish. Again, I need to get to know them really well while they're here, so I can write them really powerful recommendation letters when they graduate and they're applying to graduate school, or they're applying for a job. Sometimes situations come up personally where maybe they're ill, or a family member's ill, and they need someone to sort of support them navigating the university's sort of system to take a leave, or to explain why they're missing a class to a faculty member. Sometimes they just need encouragement that even if the work is hard, that I believe they're capable of doing it, and they just need a cheerleader to tell them that that's the case. And so I actually think having faculty advisors is also one of the special things about ITGL. I think in some master's programs across the country, faculty are less involved in advising students in their everyday lives these days. And I think that connection that faculty members and students at ITGL make with one another is a really important part of the community that we have here. So great question.
And I just want to add to what Dr. Adams just said. You know, my motto with my students, I can't help you if you don't let me know what's going on. And I actually use Teams chat with my students. So I have all of my advisees on one kind of group chat. So to Dr. Adams' point, we send each other encouragement. Yesterday, I think they were tired of me chatting them, because I found all these great job opportunities, because right now my advisees are a little bit stressed out about what's next. So I probably sent 6 different chats, and each chat had at least 6 different job opportunities that they could apply for. So we really play a role in helping you figure out what's next after you leave us.
We have a great career services center and advisor as well. And so when Veronica and I are talking about that, it's really related to not just providing general information, although Veronica's amazing and does that. It's really to supplement the support that all of the students receive from the Career Center. Yeah. Okay, another question that we get a lot of the time, actually, so I'm glad someone asked this. So it says, I'm actually interested in your digital age teaching focus area, but when I heard about TEFL that you offer, I'm wondering whether a student can learn another focus area as well. And so the answer to that question, I think disappointingly maybe, is no. So in the 1-year, 11-month program, it's a really intensive program. And we're also, again, trying to provide all students that foundational knowledge about the field of education, their portfolio, and their extended learning experiences, right? So what does that mean? That means that over the course of this intensive 11-month, that you will only have the opportunity to pick one of the focus areas as your designated focus area, where you study in that space the whole time you're here. Like you've got a fall course, a spring course, and a summer course. However, and Mark and Veronica, feel free to chime in here. I do find that many of our students do have overlapping interests, because that's the way the field of education is, right? So you might be doing a focus area in TEFL, but think that you might want to start your own English school somewhere. And so you're interested in what some of the entrepreneurship students are actually doing. Or there's often an overlap between digital age learning technology and entrepreneurship, or TEFL and digital age learning and creativity, and all of them. There's so many like overlaps. And so I would say, one, you have access to faculty. So you definitely can go talk about your interests with faculty in the other focus areas. And then, because I would also say that in the core education classes, students from all the focus areas are taking these courses together. And as Dr. Trexler has also mentioned, we do a lot of applied experiential learning. So students are often working on projects in teams, and these teams are often students that are not just from your focus area. They're students from across the focus areas. So I think there's definitely an opportunity to be thinking about how to connect with students in, for example, in your case, in TEFL, right? And how if you were in a class working on a group project, that you can integrate your interest in digital age learning technology and TEFL in some of the work that you're actually doing. But as far as officially focusing in two areas, you have to pick one. And it might be a hard choice, but you need to pick one. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? Like if you're interested in more than one focus area, how to sort of develop that interest at all while you're here?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the whole nature of the experiential learning that we have going on in our coursework. So if you're an entrepreneur student, you get to truly hear innovative ideas from your colleagues in the TEFL program, early childhood program, digital and creative, so in STEM. And you hear these ideas, and I think it begins to get you to think that what my colleagues are talking about are truly innovative. How could I implement them from my perspective, maybe as an entrepreneur student? So I think in those core coursework classes, I think that's really where we see a lot of creative energy come forth with our ITGL students. And, past graduation, connections get made. And that's why we're here. We want to connect people with good people who care about the same issues we care about in education. So I agree. In our uniqueness to how we deliver our coursework, a lot of that occurs in the classroom.
And that actually, I suppose, a couple questions now that are here that relate to this topic. So one of the questions is, if I want to start my own business back in China, how can faculty help me with my innovation or business patterns?
Oh, that's a great question, because we have many alumni who have gone back and have started their own businesses back in China. I have a group of creative and innovative students who actually took their project from their Intro to Entrepreneur class that they created and went back to China and started up their business that they created. So I think Dr. Trexler mentioned it before, but we as a program, bring a lot of industry experts in. We'll bring them in during seminar, but also they're involved in our extended learning. And our faculty who teach specifically in our entrepreneur focus area all have experience with startups of their own. So you will have plenty of help and support with your innovation and your business. We also have a place called Fast Forward U at Johns Hopkins University. It actually just went through a rebranding this past Saturday. So it's now the Pava LaPierre Center. And we will actually take you there in the fall. And we go over there, and they are wonderful. Their sole purpose is to help students with their entrepreneurial journeys, helping you create a team. There's plenty of opportunities actually to get funding. So that's something that you'll learn about in your seminar in teacher leadership in the fall, because we actually go to Fast Forward and we introduce you to the folks there. And we post a lot of their events, and our entrepreneurial students really enjoy the support that they get. So there's not just support within SOE for what you want to do, there's support across the university.
To add there that many of the faculty members that are teaching in the entrepreneurship focus area are people that are also, they're working like part-time teaching courses for us, and they're actually working in their own business spaces, and that they have been historically very valuable to all of our students while they're here, right, developing their business plans and innovations, but I would say also after they leave the program as well. So, all right, I'm going to move on to the next question. I know we only have a little bit of time left here, and I want to answer as many as we can. So here is a question that is from a person who does not have an undergraduate education degree, but they have been working as an English teacher, and they're starting an education startup. So they have no experience prior to just this teaching English right now. So they're asking, is it necessary for them to show any evidence that they have experience in teaching or capability as a teacher to apply for the program? So I'm going to take that and say, you do not need to show that you have capability as a teacher. And I think one of the great things about ITGL is that we do have many students who have shared transitioning. Perhaps they did their undergrad like in economics or in math or psychology. We have a lot of undergrad psychology majors actually, and they've decided that they want to use their expertise either in education or they've had some experience as an undergrad that has really made them passionate about changing the world through education. So you do not have to have that experience. And I'm gonna invite Mark and Veronica to chime in just a minute, but I would say you need to demonstrate like the newfound passion that you have for education, right? So the mission of the program really is to be creating sort of transformative, innovative global education leaders who can go back out into the world and really make an impact globally in the education sector, whether that's through your own business or government or technology or running a school or being a teacher. There's so many ways to do that, but it needs to be clear to us both in your interview, your essay, possibly what your recommenders write about you, that you have a genuine commitment to pursuing the field of education from this time forward. Do you guys have anything else to add to that?
I think it goes back to what you said, just be yourself, like be authentic and tell us, like about you and what it is that you want to do. So
I agree. I mean, I think we're looking for the passion. We're looking for where you want to apply your skills. And so, no, having a direct application in the past to teaching is not required. But what is required is to see what your ideas are and where you're going to place them when you're in this program, and what do you want to transformatively change in education. That's why I think, we all said that we read the essays and the applications, and we really kind of look for that during your video interview.
So there's questions coming in right till the end, so I want to make sure we get to them. So are there any research or course opportunities related to psychology?
So I can answer this one. So I had a student last year who actually worked with a professor over in the School of Public Health whose interest was around psychology. We don't have, and I'm looking at Dr. Adams to make sure, we do not have any specific courses as part of ITGL that are psychology related. Our Mind, Brain, and Teaching does talk a little bit about learning sciences, but we can assist you, your advisor can assist you in locating. We have a great platform I mentioned before, it's called Forager One, and you can actually go in and you can search for any faculty who are doing research or looking for students to assist them with their research, and you can actually filter it down and specifically type in psychology and look for opportunities. That's how one of my previous advisees, that's what we sat and did, and we looked for a couple faculty, and she reached out to them and she was able to connect with one faculty on her work.
The course that came to mind, so I'm glad we thought of the same course that has some connection to psychology. But I also think at the School of Education, we have a very strong counseling program. There are psychologists that are like here around us that you could connect with, you could go meet with to talk about opportunities. And then I don't know, Mark, do we have any particular extended learning experiences that are popular among people that are interested in psychology?
Not at the present time.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, not exactly lined up at the present time.
Okay, but that might be an area we could move in or help you make some connections to people in that space if you're interested in psychology. Another question, is there an opportunity to apply for a TA? So there is not an opportunity while you are a student. So while you're a student, you're going to be a student, and you'll be studying and extended learning and doing all these things and soaking up international student life in Baltimore. But we do have opportunities for a small number of our students to apply to stay on a second year to be TAs for our students. So when you are a student in the program, there will be TAs in some of the classes for ITGL, and those TAs are graduates of the ITGL program. So there is an opportunity to stay to do that. Let's see what else. How is the TEFL focus area at ITGL different from other short-term TEFL certification programs? I can take that, but Veronica, do you have any insight there that you want to share too, just having been around when it was created?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, our TEFL program, first of all, our TEFL program is part of your master's program. So I think that's definitely the one thing to think about. You're not just getting a TEFL certificate, you're actually getting your Master of Science in Education degree, and you're focusing on teaching English as a foreign language. So that's definitely one way that we are different. You do leave us with a certificate from Johns Hopkins University. So I think that's going to make you highly competitive out in the field. So Dr. Adams, I don't know if there's any more you want me to kind of share specifically about the courses or anything like that. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are variations in different TEFL certificate programs out there. Like as Veronica just mentioned, you are exiting with a master's degree. And also you take 11 credit hours of TEFL focused work, some of that, you know, in applied nature. And then many of our TEFL students are participating in an extended learning experience that also is giving them other applied experiences. So I would say that might be one difference. But I think the other piece is that the students that are leaving here with a TEFL focus area are able to sort of situate their work within this broader context of what is happening in the field of global and international education, which means you know a lot about language and culture and teaching English, right? And assessing the teaching of English, but you also understand global trends in schooling, in educational policy. You're getting a foundation in educational like leadership as well. You're able to take your skills that you're learning specific to TEFL, but then you're also able to situate them more broadly into advanced instructional strategies in a course like Mark teaches, or the Mind Brain teaching course that just provides, I think, more support to allow our students really to be excellent in what they're doing with their TEFL focus areas. So that would be one of the differences. I know we're just about at time. I've been waiting for Serena to wrap us up, but one thing, there are a few questions that came into the chat box that are very specific to like my work or Mark's work. And so I'm happy to follow up with those people via email, but I didn't want to take time during the general session talking about the program to follow up, but I'm happy to follow up with you via email after the event. I didn't want you to think that we didn't see your question.
Well, thank you so much to our faculty presenters this morning. If you have any additional questions about the program, we do have contact information on the screen for you, as well as information on the general website. You can also reach out to me in admissions if you have any questions. Thank you so much for your time here today and joining us, and we hope that you move on to apply and join us as a part of the ITGL community.